Unlocking the Soul, hosted by Rob Simperman and produced by Simplify Films. Episodes cover mature and controversial themes. Consider this when deciding whether and when to watch.
31. Miracles and Reality. We are now going to try to unlock a phenomenon known by names such as collective positive intention, group energy work, creating one's own reality, or probably most commonly, prayer. It's the idea that a group of people who focus on bringing about the same outcome will bring it into reality, even if it violates expectations of medicine or even the laws of physics as we understand them. It may be the way that everything we experience comes into being, and some people may be so skilled they can change reality individually. I'll give theoretical explanations from some credible sources of spiritualism insight, walk through some of the best documented examples of this power from history, and I'll interview a respected practicing cardiologist, Dr. Edward Kaliman, who is willing to go on the record about the miraculous experiences he's seen in his work. So let's jump in. We create our own reality. It's both an appealing and a horrifying concept. It simultaneously gives us unlimited freedom and takes away all of our scapegoats when reality fails to live up to our expectations. But creating our own reality raises a key question then, doesn't it? Why would reality ever fail to live up to our desires if we form it? Why don't we manifest our goals and dreams every day? Some people claim to do it, but is that only in the stories of motivational speakers, purveyors of hopes and dreams for the cost of a seminar or a book, the likes of Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle? Since so many people can't seem to manage it, there must be more to this story. And if changing reality with our minds is possible, why doesn't everyone know about it? Well, most people do. The major religions do. For example, the 2.4 billion Christians in the world generally embrace the power of prayer or collective positive focus as a way to change the world and override physics and medicine. But so do Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and even some Buddhist groups include the use of mental intention to change the world. I remember attending masses during my Catholic school as a child, where the priest would read out daily targets in our childish attempt at prayers, such as for the health of a sick parishioner or peace in a military conflict zone. But what about the so-called laws that we rely on to codify our reality, both in terms of social contracts and scientific laws? They describe the cause-effect relationships that our observations support. That gravity attracts bodies with mass seems reliable enough. Seth provides some insight into this matter in The Individual and the Nature of Mass Events. He explains that to change our world, we must first change our expectations, beliefs, and indeed thoughts. If everyone who read his book changed their attitude, the world would change. Then the new laws of nature and of society would follow those new shared beliefs. He says that the laws follow beliefs, not the other way around. And a couple of key takeaways there. First, you hear a lot of talk about beliefs when it comes to manipulating reality, but no one talks about desires. Even if you want $1 million, you may not believe you deserve it. Maybe you felt belittled since childhood. Maybe you internalized from parents or grandparents that people like you have to work hard for what they get, rather than getting lucky. And the other key is that laws describe what we expect. Why else would we think that we have proof of the placebo effect to the extent that new drugs have to be tested against it using fake versions? The test subjects believe that a person in a lab coat handing them a pill will improve their symptoms. Scientific and regulatory laws enshrine those belief-based realities. The holographic perspective is that this entire physical world is an expression of an inner vibratory world. Seth reminds us that your physical image and your physical environment are both materialized extensions of your inner selves. Channel author and energetic healer Paul Selig, channeling a council of ascended beings, once described the key to healing as understanding that the physical body is recreated 1,000 times per second. We simply need to choose not to carry unhealthfulness into the future. Okay, sure, if reality is malleable and laws are meant to be broken, what's making our environment so sticky to the laws of physics and medicine that we see every day? If I'm feeling blue, why don't I transform into a blueberry today, or a storm cloud? First, that extreme malleability is described as a feature of the higher dimensions, but down here in the third density muck of the Earth schoolhouse, We have some guardrails in place to keep things in line, but those guardrails are mistaken for laws. In fact, we are still in control of our experiences. Seth explained that we manipulate within the psychic environment, and these manipulations are then automatically impressed upon the physical mold. Our environment is not real in the way that we imagined it to be. Upon birth into this plane, we are already conditioned to perceive reality in a manner consistent with the system of this world. It ensures our experiences fall within a limited but intense range. That seems practical. Can't have people turning into blueberries all around us, can we? But where do our constructs of this world as we know it come from? And if we're born into this architecture, who decided on it? So think about it this way. The physical world we know is malleable but stiff. That's because we, with our higher selves or souls, control it collectively. I like to think of it like a government or a corporation. No one person can easily bend it, shape it, and change it. But one person can change a government or a corporation with effort and wisdom. That effort may be inspiring enough people to join their cause and contribute their energy in the same direction. Think of it like the organizing of a vote in a direct democracy, or maybe putting an initiative on the ballot for a town council or a shareholder meeting. If you get enough people to back your particular initiative, inspire them to lend their support, their votes, their money, their energy to inspire others, you can make a change to the collective laws and shared reality. Think about Susan B. Anthony with women's suffrage in the U.S., and you'll start to understand how prayer and collective focus works. It might be something small like a church full of believers helping one person have an ambiguously miraculous medical outcome. Or it might be something huge, like an advanced being like the Buddha convincing billions of people that enlightenment through meditation is a feature of their reality, worthy of their belief and their practice. This phenomenon is also explained in one of my all-time favorite books, The Holographic Universe, by the late Michael Talbot. He connects miracles to the concept of psychokinesis, or PK. Like healing, PK refers to the mind influencing matter through concentration on it. Both act in a way that differs from the default physical laws accepted by humanity on Earth. Talbot and the scientists he cites saw PK as rising from the interplay between the enfolded nature of the holographic reality and the unfolded representation of that reality in the physical world we observe. Some people, he concluded, are skilled at reaching into the inner workings and manipulating the source code, not simply by dabbling around the world of the five senses, and then projecting the world on the screen. Who could be so skilled? Next, let's look at some documented examples. According to a very recent Washington Post story, a newly deciphered scroll fragment from the 2nd century tells the story in which a 5-year-old Jesus was playing near a stream and molding clay into sparrows. When Joseph scolds him for playing on the Sabbath day, which is meant for rest, Jesus claps his hand and the figure comes into life. Now, most of us mortals aren't reaching into the matrix quite so proficiently, but it gives a sense of what's possible when we know what we're capable of and when we align with the Christ frequency that's available to us all. Biologist Lyle Watson recounts a story from the Philippines in his best-selling book, Supernature. He would hold out his hand 10 inches over a person's body, point at them, and an incision would move across the person's skin, allowing him to perform surgery. The scientist witnessed this several times and once even received a cut on his own hand when it got too close to the man's gestures, leaving a permanent scar. These are examples of individuals directly manipulating the matrix in a way that we can observe with our physical senses. The Filipino man also introduces an important concept. He didn't just think healing thoughts. He manifested them through knowledge of surgery, in interaction with the physical world as it is, and paying homage to the rules even as he circumvents the laws. You'll see more examples of this as we continue. Another example from Holographic Universe takes us to a group of Lutheran nuns building a chapel in Darmstadt, Germany in 1983. One fell through the floor and suffered a compound pelvic fracture. Instead of relying on her medical care, the nuns held an all-night prayer vigil, took her home 2 days later against her doctor's objections, where immediately after having a laying on of hands session, the nun stood up and walked without pain and was completely healed within 2 weeks, a miraculous time frame. A strangely similar event was documented in the 7th century when a workman fell from a church construction in Hexham, England, breaking all 4 limbs and seemingly dying. Saint Wilfrid gathered other workers to join him in prayer, after which the breath of life returned to him, and he healed soon after. Now, historical anecdotes are fascinating, but always seem somewhat disconnected from our experience in the modern world. So next, let's get some first-hand experience with the power of energy healing and collective focus intentions. I have the opportunity to speak with respected cardiologist Dr. Edward Kaliman. He's board certified and specializes in cardiovascular disease at St. Clair Hospital outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, among other places. Ed, thanks for joining me. We've been talking about documented cases of people, both individual and collectively, who focus their intentions to seemingly override the normal laws of physics, medicine, biology, etc. Can you please tell us a bit about your take on this phenomenon?
The way to look at it is everything is energy and consciousness. And we use different parts of it depending on how you can work with it and your understanding, also concentration. And people have different abilities to connect the different parts of the energy fields and perform some things that other people have the ability but do not know how to do it yet.
And can you give us any examples from anything you've seen in your own medical career that seems to validate this phenomenon?
Wow. It's numerous. There's just too many to count. I remember when I was an intern, we had this gentleman that had basically dying from multiple myeloma. He was the minister, and I was on call that night, so I had to sleep on the floor in the oncology unit. I was on call there. He stayed overnight, and he was going to die any moment. And they had a big prayer meeting with all the ministers. He was a Baptist, and all these Baptist ministers appeared from all over the Western Pennsylvania and other places. And they had a prayer meeting in his room. And lo and behold, the gentleman woke up and walked and lived, at least that I know of, for a few more days, which was remarkable because he was really agonal. He was dying. But the prayer meeting had some effect beyond our normal understanding.
You have a degree from New York Medical College, you completed residencies and fellowships, and you've been working with various hospitals throughout your career. Can you come up with any other explanation for that outcome?
Prayer helps. There's a lot of things that older cultures have used before our medical, modern medicine. There's been numerous studies when somebody's having open heart surgery, you have the family, and actually Columbia Hospital, family praying for the patients to heal and not have any problems. They do better. The people that are not prayed for or cared for do not do as well. In normal life, people that are married and have nice relationships, they're healthier. People that feel lonely and have nobody to talk to, they live shorter and have more problems. Your state of mind, positive thinking helps you achieve. Negative thinking gives you those results. That's been proven numerous times. And in my experience, when I'm treating patients, the way you present the situation can change the outcome. You give a person a pill and you say, well, this is going to make you feel better. 90% of the people, or almost close to 100, feel better. They take it and they feel better. And if I say, take this pill, I heard a few people get better, 1 to 2%. The odds are that even if it's the same pill, they're not going to get better. We call that the placebo effect, but that's really suggestion and the power of the mind to believe something's going to work. There's numerous cases and people are told that they have terminal cancer and they change their lives and have a lot of positive meditative healing abilities. They can improve significantly. People that are going to the belief system that they might as well write their will and die, that's what they do. I have patients that have really bad hearts. This is what I do. And the strong willpower, which we call stubbornness sometimes, or they wait for their daughters to get married or their husbands or wives to feel better before they pass away. That's very common, very common.
In your own interactions with patients, do you ever find that you can get a sense of their ailments, their energy levels, or see any ways that you can heal them beyond the typical medical tests that we're all accustomed to?
Medicine is an art and a science, and unfortunately right now it's just a science. The art has been lost. Decades ago, centuries ago, that's all you had was the art. You had shamans, witch doctors, you had people that used leeches and things like that. How did those people, some of them, get healed? And the body has the ability to heal, so you just have to find a way to make that real, a reality. But yeah, you feel the energy of the patient, and the energy is telling you what they have. 90% of the time, you have the diagnosis before you send for testing. And it could be from the exam, from what they're telling you, or what you feel. It's a combination of the whole thing. I usually, when I'm talking to a patient, I usually just sit there, listen, but I'm also looking to see what their subconscious is trying to tell me. And if you feel that after years of practice, you feel that. It is not unusual for even the great majority of physicians or healthcare workers, whether it's nursing or the people that are involved in the healthcare industry. You get that, we call it intuition, you call it whatever you want, that some people are very highly developed.
Are you more in the camp of the mind is an amazing computer that can pick up on things that we might not even realize? Or do you think it's actually tying into like an etheric body and, further down the scale, you get to Jesus curing somebody or someone with psychokinetic abilities?
If you have even a little understanding of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, string theory, and things like that, everyone is connected. And when I'm saying subconscious, everyone is connected to some degree all the time, no matter if you're on planet Earth or in the United States and the other person is in Taiwan. There's a connection. And that connection is there all the time. You just have to be quiet enough to listen to what it's telling you. The physical body is just the material representation of energetic fields. And the body's a projection, you might call it, of an energetic imprint. And that energy field is in a much higher vibration, and it can change the molecules in your physical body by changing the vibration. And if you are in touch with that, either through energy healing or prayer, you can actually change what's going on. You can fix somebody's, whether it's liver disease, kidney disease, but what started that disease, it didn't start in the organ, it started somewhere else. There's been numerous studies that and I've seen that in my own patients, if they say, well, when I'm 45, 50 years old, I'm going to gain 200 pounds because that's what my mom did, and that's what my grandmother did, and that's what my aunt did. Lo and behold, they come in at that age and they put on 200 pounds. They made their own reality. Or they say, my dad had a heart attack when he was 42. My brother just had a heart attack, he's 38. I'm 37, so I guess they only have a year, 2 years if I'm going to have a heart attack. Well, the odds are is that he will, or something's going to happen. What's going on there? Your gut suggestion is changing some imprint in the energetic fields, making that a reality. And you may be thinking that heart attack decades in advance when you first found out that your family members are all dying or having heart problems in the 40s. You're already setting up that pattern through different energy fields, the energetic fields with the etheric, the astral, and then it comes to your physical body, and you did it. You create your reality.
So thank you, Ed. And I keep referring to mass focus of positive attention to bring about a desired outcome. And we've referred to the masses and their soul hierarchy creating a reality, which is a mix of positive and negative. But do mass creations of reality ever override the normal architecture in a negative way? For an answer, we need to look to one of the most significant and well-documented events of human history, the Jansenist miracles and the hysteria of the Convulsionnaires. Haven't heard of it? Well, that's odd indeed, because it may have been the most discussed and well-documented event in Europe from the early 1700s until perhaps the French Revolution in 1789. The Jansenists were a puritanical sect of Catholics and a thorn in the side of the Catholic Church. But they had a growing following among the French populace, fed by their prolific performance of miraculous healings. At the height of their debates over church doctrine and the significance of miracles, the Jansenists' revered deacon, François de Paris, died in 1727 and was buried in the Saint-Médard cemetery. Visitors to this cemetery started enjoying a huge surge in healings, including cancerous tumors, paralysis, deafness, arthritis, sores, fevers, blindness, and more. Sounds positive enough, right? Well, that's just the appetizer. A hysteria erupted around the pilgrimage to the Saint-Médard cemetery. The affected seemed to enter a trance and demonstrate inexplicable physical contortions of their bodies. But not just that. They longed for injuries to be attempted against their bodies as a way to alleviate discomfort that plagued them. There are well-documented accounts of convulsionnaires literally begging to be tortured in front of crowds. They would endure strikes with metal rods, 100 blows from a 30-pound hammer that broke the stones behind them, cuts from very sharp objects, dropping 50-pound rocks on people from great heights. They would suspend people with all their weight on a sharp spike. The strongest men would attempt to choke them. Some were even crucified. But nothing would injure these people. Their convoluted bodies would show no signs of injury or even bruising from these extreme acts, nor could their skin be punctured or cut. They would indicate appreciation for the torture and ask for more. Some even levitated in the air during their seizures, despite people trying to hold them down. And this lasted all day and night for years, and to a lesser extent for decades. Among the official accounts, a member of Parliament wrote 4 thick volumes full of examples of the convulsionnaires' invulnerabilities. At one point in 1733, a group of 3,000 volunteers were recruited to assist with the seizures and other acts. What was going on here? Well, the Catholic Church got a lucky break. By acknowledging the miracles, but attributing them to Satan, they had a convenient way to discredit the Jansenists once and for all. Modern science mostly pretends this didn't happen at all, or dismisses it as mass hysteria or delusions. Our framework leads back to psychokinesis, where those involved push to the edges of physical and medical conventions. Those wrapped up in religious fervor went beyond the logical acceptance of rules and granted themselves access to medical and mental abilities that are often suppressed. The Holographic Universe book that gives a detailed account of this event also points to the work of Harvard psychologist William McDougall, who suggests religious miracles may be the result of collective psychic powers. Well, how does this help? I hope stories like those above help break the shell that you may perceive as the physical world. Perhaps it isn't so hard, but stretchy, if nothing else. As a practical takeaway, let me leave you with a small modern example. In The Biology of Belief, Dr. Bruce Lipton recounts a story of a young British doctor, Albert Mason, who found success using hypnosis to cure warts in 1952. While that alone is shocking to those who think of warts as a problem of biology, this story goes deeper. Another doctor referred a patient to him who had leathery skin to use his wart hypnosis treatment on. He focused on one arm, and it did return to a healthy pink and soft state. Showing the results to the referring doctor, it became clear the referral was a mistake. The boy suffered not from warts, but from an incurable and lethal genetic condition called ichthyosis, not warts at all. Though Dr. Mason continued to cure the boy's other limbs, he could not cure others that had similar conditions who lined up for Mason's treatments. Why? Because it's impossible to cure someone with an incurable disease, unlike minor warts. The doctor's doubt returned after learning how the disease functioned, reinforcing its impossibility for him to cure. So the takeaway here is that beliefs change reality and that laws follow to describe reality. But the laws also inform our beliefs. And while we have free will over our lives, our reality, the Earth's schoolhouse and its environment are a shared experience. To keep it fit for use, the nature of this reality is stiff, controlled by the beliefs of a mass of people and the beings that are governing the hierarchy. Yet, we have seen many examples of stretching of reality when an individual is especially skilled, when a group of people choose to adopt a shared intention and pour their psychic energy into it. Like the last example, someone simply doesn't realize something is impossible until they do it.